Rudy used to like to talk about the monk in the cave who attained perfect enlightenment and then came out of the cave and went back to his family and discovered he hadn't been able to deal with them at all. That nothing tests enlightenment or awakening or spiritual achievement more than spending 3 days with your family. It's really interesting. The family is the core of the mandala, and so many people like to work the outer fringes because it's easy, but the core is where it's at. And if you don't open to, love, embrace, say yes to, acknowledge, be real with those who are closest with you, it doesn't matter how much you do with the outer sphere. Because that's where the work is. The real work of human life is being with those who are at the center with you. And in a way, I don't know of a bigger test for people than keeping their heart open to the people they supposedly love. Because people know how to push your buttons. And the people closest to you know the most and the best ways to push your buttons. And even if they don't remember that they're pushing your buttons, it's worked into the system. So it's a real struggle. And yesterday, we invited the entire extended family for dinner, holiday dinner. And it was fascinating. It was totally fascinating. Because all I look for in life is connectivity, a shared sense of, if you will, the oneness that we are. And the hardest place to find it is in your family, especially the extended family who gets together every once a year or twice a year. Because the rituals and the patterns of that dialogue are so entrenched and so repeatable that if I had to sit down yesterday morning and write word for word what was going to transpire in that afternoon and evening, I could have done it. It was extraordinary. It was kind of like there were very few surprises. Nothing new was transmitted, particularly. There was a lot of reinforcement, bless you. A lot of reinforcement of old positions, of old structures, of old ritual patterns. And yet, in the middle of it, there was something incredible happening. And if you could get past the discomfort of, so how's it been, what's been going on, how's work, what did you do, and what's going on with the kids, blah, 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 blah. If you get past that, you start to get a sense that, one, you sort of don't know these people. They're your very closest relatives, and you don't know them. That you're looking completely at surface. You're looking completely at the presentation that's been there since you were, in some cases, kids. And it's really phenomenal, because it's very hard to meet these people because they are coming reinforced with history. They're coming with all of their stuff and they're presenting it to you. All of their likes and dislikes, in some cases animosities and hopes and failures. You never knew me, you never got me, you don't love me, you always pay attention to that one and not to this one. Really fascinating drama that families represent. And breaking through that takes an enormous amount of presence, showing up to your own family, being there with the people in front of you, simply not presenting the person they knew or the person they expect, but just who is, what is, showing up. And it's very unsettling. It's unsettling for everybody. But it's the only doorway to having reality and connective tissue happen. And it's so exquisite when it does. When you start to really have a moment with someone you've known forever, with someone you care about. And you're sitting with these people and you watch yourself both falling into the script. And you don't know how to get out of it. How do I get out of this thing? We've done it a million times. It doesn't go anywhere, but we can't seem to stop it. And we stare at each other and there's a longing. There's a real longing for this. The only way for it to happen is for you to make it happen. For you to show up. For you to let go of all expectation and break the mold. It's not easy, and some people will not like it. But what you end up with is you start to create space, quietude, around the moment. You just get still. And then sometimes you actually acknowledge the awkwardness. You actually say, why is it so awkward? And they kind of look at you. And then you go, how are you doing? How are you doing? And you open a little doorway. They may or may not walk through it. And it may be the wrong place and the wrong time, so you have to be careful where you do this. But if you're sitting aside somewhere during a party, and you really know you have a moment that you can actually touch somebody else's being, and you create a space for that to happen, this remarkable thing takes place. It may just be a touch, looking at each other, a kind of moment. It doesn't have to be a big dialogue, but you know you have reunited. You have reconnected with yourself. And most of us are very alienated from ourself, and we really see that in a family situation. Because all these people are aspects, facets of our being. And we don't know how to get there. One way not to get there is to play the game. One of the things you do is you just find your reality. Speak your truth. If you've had a hard year, you don't have to hide it. If you feel real love for seeing these people, you can express it. You don't have to fall into the old pattern. You can establish the present tense in that moment. Present tense is something very few people ever find. Almost nobody lives in present tense. We all live in future past tense. Uncomfortably, but that's where we live. Present tense is fearsome to many people because there's in a way no rule book for it. We get the rules for the past and we kind of get the rules for the future. It's going to be like this if we do that, and it was like that, and if we don't, we don't have to think about that. But the present tense, it's just completely this. And people stumble through it. And the great joy of the holidays is the opportunity to reunite with you. That's what it's about. Family is connecting with the core of the mandala, re-embracing the sense of self as it's reflected in close proximity. What's really interesting at these gatherings is that we now have a lot of children. And so we're all watching the children creating those patterns that are going to be just like the patterns we have now, 40 years later. And it's so interesting to see what they do. They're so naive, but they're so real. And they play together, and then they cry, and then they fight, and then they struggle. And but I was in charge. They were listening to me, and now they're not listening to me. And my granddaughter's crying, sobbing in the middle of all this. And each one of them is establishing their dominance, and each one of them is trying to figure out, how am I going to play this relationship? And you really do see it filtering out. You just know if they don't fix this somewhere along the way, the thing that gets locked in at the age of 2, 3, 5 is locked in. It's just there. And what I found last night is the people who are most uncomfortable leave first. And the ones who have some level of openness stick around. They may not be the ones you want to stick around, but they are the ones who are there. And you have a stillness and a quietude that allows you to begin to talk, to really talk, and to really open. And I watched last night because things happened that were so beautiful. The biggest thing that happened was what I call familiarity. There was like, we know each other, guys. We've been around the block 1,000 times. We shared stuff when we were 4. We've had lives together. We had all these things have happened. Let's just sit here and really embrace our knowledge of one another. And that happened. And we were all finding this happiness. And my brother has never smiled once for a photograph. He thinks he has a bad smile or something. I don't know what his problem is with smiling. But he also has the most unbelievable laugh in the world. It's kind of uncontainable. It's a little scary, actually. He just roars with laughter, and for the first time ever, I caught it on film, on video, and I just said, "I've got it. I've got it." First of all, I can prove it to him, and I can show it to the rest of the family. You know, this is my brother, and I said, "This is how I want to remember my brother, not with a stern pose for a picture. Everybody's going like this, and he's going like that." And we get the whole picture, and we all sat there, and this thing happened, and a lot of it was past tense. A lot of it was remembering what it was like when we were kids and trips we would take together, and there was a kind of ease and beauty that started to filter into the environment. The kids were all gone now. The kids were all upstairs and asleep, and so we were just adults being together. And the key word is being, because we weren't promoting anything, we weren't doing anything, we were just being. And the joy that started to seep into that is what we all look for in family, what we all look for in gatherings, and how hard it is often to come about. And if you're one of the people who leaves early, that's your problem. Learn how to stay. Learn how to wait. Sit for it. Let it fall into itself. Let it open by its own accord. Because you don't have to do it so much as be available to it happening. The more you just sit and relax and go, okay, this is what is. This is what is. Then you become liberated. You become free to be what is, rather than what it might have been or used to be or could be. It's like, this is it. Yes, it's awkward. Yes, it's this. Yes, it's that. But it's fine because it's us. It's real. And you know, much of life is awkward and real at the same time. It's just awkward. You know? You say the wrong words. I mean, I watched myself saying things last night, and I go, ooh, yeah. Why did I say that? And then I just said, because you said it. Then I realized I had nothing to do with it. It just came out. It just said itself. And I'm not going to own that. I'm not going to get caught up in it. It's just talk. And you realize that's what everybody's doing. And nobody ideally is owning it. You're just being there. And it starts to filter in. The best moments, of course, other than when the people leave, and the few remain, is eating. Eating is a great leveler, because you're just all there, and there's you stop talking in a way. You just start taking it in and just start enjoying the banquet of life, really. It's so joyous, just sitting together, and people are enjoying the food, and they're happy, and that happiness is starting to work its way into the fabric of the evening, and it starts to make things good. Some people drink. We're not big drinkers in our family, but that helps a lot of people. And you know, everybody finds their way into this moment. And when you're in this moment has a quality that is something we all seek, but we all seek it in the next moment and the last moment. The quality of this moment is pure, it's hard to give words to it, joy, bliss, wonder, ease, comfort, stillness. It's right here. It's right here. The idea of you'll get it tomorrow is really a problem. And we're aiming right now to one of the worst nights of the year called New Year's. And the thing about New Year's Eve is that it fetishizes new. The idea that it's going to be new. Somehow you're going to break free of what was and you're going to become different. You're going to make resolutions to be a different person, that somehow newness awaits you. And of course, you're all old enough to know that it almost never works. New Year's Eve is usually, you have your own versions of it. I'm sure you all have stories of New Year's Eve. Blanche and I started having wonderful New Year's Eves when we stopped going anywhere. We just stayed home. We stopped being in a crowd. We were just together. The midnight came and we kissed and we felt we're us. We're here. We are the new. We are the newness. The newness isn't going to come tomorrow. It's not going to wake up on the 1st of January and your life will be new. You'll wake up on the 1st of January and it will be what it was on the 31st of December. A little different, in some coloration. You get a day off, which is nice. But that's the reality of spiritual teaching, is that new is always now. There will never be a moment in your life that isn't new. Totally, absolutely, 100% new. The only thing that makes it look like it happened yesterday, or it's like, oh God, this again, is your mind. Your mind is labeling the new, and the minute it labels it, it steps away from it. The minute you look at the new as something that already was or should be like that, the new is no longer vibrant. The extraordinary thing about what's new is that it keeps happening. And you never know what's going to happen. If you want a real opportunity to watch newness happening, get a grandchild. Get a 2-year-old. My 2-year-old is endlessly in the new and endlessly sparked by what is. Christmas morning was like, for he and his sister, the level of joy, the level of almost maturity that came about, the kind of willingness to take one moment at a time because new was so great. It didn't have to be new. It became new. New. It was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. And I kept looking at it going, that's what I want to do. That's how I want to live. And they teach me all the time how to live in the new. And the new is just another word for the now. The new and the now are the same thing. Because the now never, ever existed before. Ever. And it is existing with you in it. And there's even an argument to be made that there is no you and it, there is just the now, or just that which is happening. And it's happening because of infinite numbers of forces making it all come about. It's so powerful. The now is so powerful. Everything in your mind that ever was is leading into it, but in truth it's just manifesting of its own nature now. You can divorce yourself from past. You cannot even look into the future. You don't have to look into the 2016. It's right this. And it's exploding in front of you, or unfolding in front of you, or whispering itself into existence. And you are that very thing that's happening. You have a particular set of eyes on it, but so do all of us. And what's great about a family gathering is you're all looking at the now through the same sets of eyes, except everybody is in their brain trying to make it into something, and so nobody's seeing the now together. Imagine what it's like when we all see it together in the same way. And that's what happens when presence takes over. That's what happens when the last people are there, sitting around, talking, relaxing, not trying to do anything, not struggling to do this or to do that or say this or protect that idea or whatever that thought. They're just being. Just being is the now. Just being is something you happen to be incredibly good at. Whether you're aware of it or not, your being is what you do, get the word out, is what you are all day long. You constantly be. Whether you know it or not, you're brilliant at being. You also, in your being, do all these crazy things like analyze it and discard it and get caught up in it and all of these other things. But that's still part of the underlying truth, is that being is the one honest, true reality. Being is what is. Everything else is an artificial construct around it. Not that it doesn't belong, because, believe me, the universe created us as we are. It created us as imperfect, vulnerable entities. And the moment you go, I'm an imperfect, vulnerable entity, you just settle into being whatever you are. As soon as you start to protect yourself and not want to be vulnerable and not want to be imperfect, then you're caught up in the drama of it all. And then you're lost in all the stuff that life throws at you, and it's really mostly unpleasant that way. And if it is pleasant, then you don't want to let go of the pleasant, and of course that causes the next level of suffering. So just let go. Surrender. Just be. How do you do it? Well, in a way, you are doing it. The thing to let go of is anything that's holding on, anything that's grasping, anything that's thinking it should be this or should be that. Mostly it's mental. And if you let go of this mentality, just relax. And the double breath that we do is very good at that. As soon as you see yourself clutching this feeling, this feels awful, or I wish I wasn't here, take a breath. Enter the fact that you are here. You may not like it as much. Your brain may still kind of tell you, well, I wish I was somewhere else. But the more you let go, the more that fades away, and suddenly the magic of being here reveals itself again. It's your responsibility. The double breath, this Rudy technique, which I love, is something you can use at any given time to stop fighting the reality of the moment. Because suffering is fighting. Suffering is saying no to the truth of your being. And why do that? You don't have to do it. And if you live in I call it, the word toxicity comes up a lot for me because I watch people who inhabit toxic space, and they are always at odds with life. They're always at odds with themselves. There is no holiday for them. And Christmas comes up and New Year's comes up, and I look at a lot of these people, they are miserable. They are miserable. And they're miserable for a lot of reasons. I watched what happened 2 days before Christmas. My son got very upset unexpectedly because we've been having a wonderful time, but he got very upset about not being acknowledged enough or something like that, and I got it. But I was having a very kind of depressed day, like feeling kind of, it was heavy. And then I went, this is 2 days before Christmas. The whole country, and possibly the whole Western world, was in exactly the same place. Exactly. What gift should I get? I don't really know who they are. I don't know what they like. I don't know what I should get them. I'm failing. I'm showing them that I don't know anything about them. This is terrible. I feel so awful. That kind of thing constantly comes up. I got to go to the store. I don't want to go to the store. There's all the crowds. That's called environmental depression. Everybody having it at the same time. And of course, every one of us thinks it's ours alone. It's ours personally. And I watch people acting out that day. And I'm watching it and I'm going, it might as well just be a storm outside. You know, it's the same exact thing. It's just raining in your head. It's blustery in your head. You're suffering in your head. It's not really bad. None of us know how to be acknowledged properly. None of us know even what we want exactly. And if we do, you know, it's hard to communicate because we want people to know what we want. We don't have to tell them what we want. But we don't. We don't. We're human beings, and you do the best you can. That's all you do. The holidays are almost over. You have 4 more days till New Year's. Figure out what you're going to do New Year's. You've probably already figured it out. Keep it simple. Stay open. Be aware of being present. Be aware that New Year's is actually new every moment. Be aware that you can find a way to embrace the new and the now together, that you can begin the new year really with a simple breathing practice that brings you home, and that you can live life in a place of simplicity and joy and gratitude instead of being somehow unhappy and unsatisfied and unrewarded. The reward of life is not going to be delivered later. Trust me. Whatever that stuff is that comes later, it's not the reward. The reward is this second. It's this second, the being alive, the being that you are. That's the reward. If you're looking for the reward to come later and you're looking for it to come from outside, you're going to suffer. You know, if you win the Super Bowl, you're going to have a great night. You know, you walk around with that ring and you'll go, I won the Super Bowl, I won the Super Bowl. A year later, that's not going to do a lot for you. The only thing that does something for you is this right here. So reward yourself with this. Happy New Year. Any questions?
I really, what you said really resonates with me a lot. But it's more like when I was doing the meditation, before you did, when you were giving us a talk, you're like, it's connected with chakras, you know, you'll feel this, you'll feel that, and I'm like, I'm not feeling that. And I've always felt that chakras have interested me because I've always felt pretty closed down. And it just, you know, going through my mind, it was just like, I just don't know this technique's for me. And, but I don't want that to stop me. I think I had my own preconceptions about what would happen, as well as what you had said might happen. And I just felt very constricted and very like trying to breathe. I'm like, I can't even breathe. I can't even like, you know, for 10 seconds I can't hold it.
It's a pretty interesting thing to know. It took me years to get the chakras working. You say, oh, there's something there, and you look for it, and every so often you stumble upon it, you know, and you go, oh. And then the next time you sit down, you go, oh, where'd it go? We're so untuned into who we are, to our own physical body, to our own metaphysical body, we don't know. And we always want it quick, because we're Americans, you know, we want it now, you know. And it's really, in a way, there now, but it's not. I mean, it's taking me 40, 50 years to get to now. You know, it's a long ride. And the idea that you're going to just sit and do it, I've given you a map. In case I never see you again, you have a map, it's there. You can still practice, you can still use it. Coming here will introduce you weekly, should you come, to the now. That's all it will do. The talks are usually better for people because they're relaxed. You watch everybody. As soon as they stop meditating, they feel much better. You know? Oh, that's over. You know, now I can just sit here and we can just listen and talk. That's honestly, in a way, earned. Because if you just came and I just started talking, you would be so full of the noise of the day and everything else that the receptivity that you brought to the sitting after the class was very, very strong. The class itself, yes, there's constriction. And what I get to see when I sit with you is all of that. And my job, and I have enormous patience, is to work my way into the most open and available part of you that I can find, which is always revealing itself, and then go in there, and it's kind of hard to describe the technique, but it's like, it's tiny. I don't imagine you will feel it. But you will, if you were to practice this, begin to sense, oh, wow, something's happening. And it will magnify and grow and increase to the point that you will start to feel really whole on many, many levels that maybe wasn't the case before. And that wholeness will start to relax you into that thing which happens when the class is over, where you just go, and then you're just there. You're just there. And then we have brunch after class, and my God, I think more people they're more there at brunch than any other time. It's so easy. It's so free. We used to sit with Rudy at brunch, you know, and he would often sit and people would sit around him. I don't always do that, but people would sit and he would talk and we'd be eating and talking, and I got more stuff out of that. The only problem was I would have these Kundalini eruptions with food on my lap. That could be really awkward. But I would really, it would come in because I wasn't trying anymore. And I know you want it, and I know you want it now. And trust me, you have it now on one level, but on another level, now has worked its way into what we call time. Now is perceived as time. Time is progressive, and it has direction. Reality is not time-based, it's timeless. And if you've ever had a timeless experience, you probably didn't recognize it exactly, except that you go, where did that time go? That's kind of how people see it. You're working really hard on something, no time. You know, I sit with my grandchildren, I'm in a timeless wonderland. That's kind of how it works. When you're in time, it's usually because you're in mind, in ego, in body, in the world, wanting, desiring, fearing, and all that other stuff. The great thing about what we're doing is you slowly begin to find, I don't have to live in that space. I can live in this timeless, simple stillness. But you can't not come back into the world. The only thing that this offers beyond having discovered that space is you can slowly bring that into your day-to-day life. That's hard. I often say to people, you're really good in the class, everything's good until you get to the freeway. You know, and then the car turns, you know, cuts in front of you, and you've lost it completely. You're back in the world. Carrying that through day by day by day by day frees you until something comes, an act of grace from unknowable space that just blows you out. And then there's just this. And I can't make that happen. In a way, you make that happen, but not you, the person you think you are. There's a part of you that finally goes, okay, I can't do it. I let go. I surrender. That moment, that real moment of, I can't do it, I surrender. Then, it might not happen that second, but you'll be walking down the street and there's no you. There's just the street. That help at all?
It does.
Okay.
Talk about story, you know, when you go to a family thing, they're kind of like not sure where you are in your life path.
Right.
And people come up and go, so you're still doing that thing? And they mentioned something 15 years ago.
Yes.
They don't even know where you're at.
Right.
So we're either carrying our story in, or they're wanting story, they're wanting information.
That's the nature of all interaction, really, is updating story or relating to story, not to the person. Because we don't know how to relate to the person. But the story is really interesting. And I wrote a Christmas letter, you guys didn't get it, but because you're new. But the letter went out and it basically said, I have no more stories. I'm retired. You know? I used to be able to go, I'm writing this movie and I'm doing this TV show and I got this going on, and people go, oh really, really? Oh, that's wonderful. And then all that's gone. I have no identity except Grandpa. You know, it's a very limited identity.
There's nothing tangible, there's nothing for them to hang on to.
Nothing. And so they have to, with me now, go, what are we going to talk about? I don't know what to talk about. You know, and they're totally anxious about it. And all I can talk about is their job, is, you know, because that's what they want to talk about, and trying to get into who are you, where are you, how is this working for you in some really fundamental way. You have to go beyond story. Or you go into a layer of story that I call literature rather than melodrama. You go into the underpinnings, the stuff that means stuff. And it's hard. You have to become really almost an artist to figure out how to fashion the knowledge base that will allow you to explore another being. It's a wonderful technique. It's a wonderful way to be alive. But these events are all about, as you say, story. Filling somebody in on 15 years of story is not easy. The worst thing is weddings. You know, and because there's loud music playing while you're trying to tell people what happened for the last 10 years. So, you know, you find your technique, or you just get very quiet. You can just say, I'm really fine, I'm great. Things are great. Go ahead.
You're also living in your being. You've been practicing this. You're in this expansive state. It's gorgeous. You go for your little get-together, and they're oh my God, they're like pinning these tags on you.
Exactly. Yeah, it pulls you right into the tightest form of yourself imaginable, and it's not comfortable. You can see them doing it. They don't know what to do, and in a way you don't know what to do, because how can you say, I am that which is. I am that. You don't say, how do you say that at a party?
Clear a room real fast.
What? Clear a room?
Clear a room real fast.
Well, last night we actually did get to that moment. I didn't do it quite like that. But there was an honest, real discussion that really allowed the way I'm speaking to you to speak to the crowd that sat around. And they heard it. Two of the young kids really heard it. And I knew they did. And I knew that's kind of why the evening happened. I always look in every event for, why is this happening? Why am I here? And if I don't find it, I feel disappointed. And sometimes it doesn't happen, but almost always there's one opening, one person, one thing said, one exchange that makes it completely worthwhile. And that's what I look for. But story is really complicated. I have given talks and talks on story because I'm a writer. And I really understand story, and I understand how dominated we are by it. How hungry we're for story. But we're not hungry for reality. That's the boring reality. Story at least colors it and gives it direction and purpose and meaning and all of that. Take away meaning and purpose and direction, what have you got? This. And it's very hard to train ourselves to live without meaning and without structure and to just be. It's really hard. Even though we're doing it, we're constantly overlaying it with all this other stuff, because that lets us have a sense of that we have mastery over life. We understand it. I'm a good Christian, I'm a good Buddhist, I'm a good this. You're structured in a way that gives you, I can be at ease. But that's going to get taken away. Real awakening takes all of that away. Then what do? You can't be a born again this or a born again. You're just nothing. What do you do when you're nothing? And then how do you go to a cocktail party? There's nothing. It's really interesting. Because they're going to make you something, and you're going to have to find a way to let them make you something without you becoming caught back up in 70 years of being that thing. It's a great dance. And it's kind of fun if you can figure it out.
So it's like growing old. Reality is not for sissies.
Well, that's true, George. George just said reality is not for sissies. That's absolutely true. And old age is not for sissies, and every one of you is going to get there. And if you don't get there with some tools at that point in time, you're not going to be a happy camper. Because the reality starts to shift and take stuff away. It just takes more and more away, as you will all discover. And that discovery is shocking. Even though you know what happens because you watch it with your parents and your grandparents, it takes your comfort away, it takes your health away, it takes your strength away, it goes on and on and on. And as much as you may fight against it, you will not win that fight in the end. So you have to really learn how, in this period of life of health and well-being, to let it go. Let it go, let it. My granddaughter could come in and sing that. Let it go. I can't sing it. But it's the song of the moment. Let it go. And that's what we're here practicing. And it will release you from a lot of stuff, so when you get old and you have nothing left to hold on to, you will be so grateful that you let it go.
Do you practice some form of open-eye meditation every morning? Can you give me like a routine and have a picture, your picture of Nityananda?
For 45 years I did. I sat every morning, 30 minutes minimum, usually for me, and then I sat before I went to bed. The morning meditation was with a photo of Rudy or Nityananda, either one. Not from somebody else outside the discipline, because that doesn't tend to work. I sat with them, and I did the breathing exercise that I showed you, eyes open meditation. And then the awakening happened, and I realized I don't need to meditate myself into something. I don't need to get anywhere. I'm there. And I just stopped meditating. Now, meditation happens. It just happens. There are times I'm sitting and then the meditation is happening. And I give myself over to it entirely. But I don't need to structure it usually. I've talked a little bit about, there are some moments where there's been some, how can I say, where life has gotten a little tense. And then I just choose to sit down and just open it up. Because it's a smart thing to do. It's a great technique. It's really worth it. But I wouldn't have that technique, and it wouldn't work so effectively if I didn't sit and hadn't sat every day for 45 years. I would sit every morning, first thing when I got up, before I would brush my teeth and took care of all that, and then I would sit. And I would get the lay of the land in a sort of metaphysical, spiritual, real-world sense. I got what the tensions were out there, what I was walking into. I got a real feel for it. And then I would go into the day, and then at night I would sit down and let all that fall away. And it was wonderful. I really recommend it. It's falsely based on one idea that you're going to get somewhere, but really, if you can just understand that all of this will get you to the present tense, not to the future tense. That what you're looking for won't come to you in 40 years for doing this, although in a way it does. The reality is it only does it because you got there every day of your life. And all the peripheral stuff dropped off, and the real stuff finally was just there with nothing encumbering it. And that's what the meditation does.
I hear and see in myself, and I hear in the questions when I teach, when I work, that we all look to get to the result without doing the work. We all want to be heroes without doing what's necessary to be a hero. You don't set out to be a hero. And you have accomplished what you have through doing the work and not questioning. When you were doing the work, you did the work every day, and at some point you got to where you are, and just as Rudy was where he was, and I don't know anybody I've ever known in my life who worked as hard as Rudy. And he called it the work, and that's what he did. But working in the present without that goal of getting to where I don't have to work anymore, where it just rolls off or whatever. That's all.
Let me just say
Grateful to you.
that I agree with you. I mean, if I had not worked for 45 years, the awakening that took place would have left me in the oddest of states. I wouldn't have known what to do with it. It wouldn't have made sense to me. I mean, there are people who have awakenings and they're in institutions because they have no concept for it. They're just no longer, there's no them anymore, but they don't know what it means. There are people who act really foolishly after awakening. They think, oh my God, now I can do anything I want, and they leave everybody, families behind. They enter into a kind of strange behavior. I think groundedness in a practice gives you a foundation on which you can build anything. No foundation is problematic. Having an awakening with no foundation leaves you, I mean, I can't speak for people who've had it because I don't know it exactly, but my experience is the foundation is really so helpful to that experience of no longer standing on anything. Because you're standing on nothing, but you built that nothing. And trust me, you don't know. This world is nothing. All the solidity, this wall, this ceiling, it's very impermanent. It just comes for a little bit of time and then it goes away, as do you. But what really remains, that's what awakening shows you. What remains is what always was, which is now. In its own form. And that's what we're all heading at. We're all arriving at that in a realization, but we are that even if we don't realize it. It's just what we are. And it's a gift. I know this can go on forever, guys. All I can tell you is you're going to get the same message every time you come here. In any way I can make it more palatable or more understandable or more imbibable, I will do it. If you get the message, you don't have to come here. You can listen to the tapes if you want to listen to the tapes. But what's given here in the eye-to-eye, open-eyed meditation is a very direct contact. A direct, open-eyed contact with the present tense. If you can show me where else you can get that in your daily life, I would say, God bless, go for it. But I don't know many people who are with anybody who's present, very often. So if you want present tense, eye to eye, this is a place to come for it. If you just want to understand this stuff or think about it, you got the tapes. And more importantly, there are amazing people out there, amazing teachers all over the place. And so I say, God bless, find them. Find the teacher that speaks to you, that opens your heart, that helps you see who you are. Find him. I don't care if it's me. I really don't care. I care only that I show up and present what is as best as possible for you to drink in. So if you're thirsty, come. Okay? Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.